Welcome to the Directing Animation Livecast with Scott Weiser. In my many years as an animator and director, my most defining projects have been my short film, Layers, along with Vanishing Ink and Cirque de Solitude, two books which I wrote, illustrated, and pitched at several studios as feature films. And I have more of these feature film pitches coming soon. Today I have a very inspiring guest, Denver Jackson. This guy blows my mind. He's not only animated a couple short films on his own, he's animated a couple feature films on his own. And having animated several shorts on my own, I have a great appreciation of what that is. We were talking before the livecast began, and you know, my short film Layers took me, for 4 minutes, it took me 6 months. And he was able to do, in about a year or two, he was able to do, you know, these couple of feature films. So it's pretty amazing. Anything I left out, Denver? Anything you'd like to add?
I know, that sounds great to me.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah. But you're saying your short film took how long?
Layers took 6 months.
6 months. Yeah.
Animating alone and doing the backgrounds and everything on my own.
Right.
And there was a pre-production stage. So for a couple years, I was planning it out and redoing the storyboards. At least 5 times I reboarded the thing. So
right. Yeah. Like redrafting different versions.
Yeah.
I mean, my first short film took like almost 8 months. I think that's around maybe 11 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's the quality of animation is not great at all in that first one.
Yeah.
So yeah. But it was a learning process going through all the stages of animation, and from storyboarding to, you know, compositing and what have you. That's how I actually found out how to do it.
Yeah.
Just learning the process. Yeah.
Well, let's jump in. I really want to know about your process. You were telling me that your short film, that first one took you 8 months, and then what took you a year? Another short film took you a year? And
so the one after that took me a year.
And then Esluna took you how long?
The web series took me 8 months to do. That was around 8 months. Yeah.
And the web series was a full feature film, but you broke it up into chunks and released it as a web series, correct?
Well, we were funded as a web series, so it's technically a web series. Yeah. So it's the time length though. When you put it together, compress it, it's like kind of feature length style.
Yeah.
But my first feature is the one I'm just working on now, in post-production on it. So
yeah, it has a working title, so it may or may not be the current title.
Yeah.
It's interesting that, you know, your first short film was in 2D, as Luna was in 2D, with a bit of CG in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then this one seems full CG with some 2D elements.
Right. So with this one, I actually wanted to dive into 3D and learn a bit more about 3D. So this was the first time I'm animating with rigs. The beginning of the process, I figured I would start learning how to animate with rigs. And so the entire thing is 3D, but all the faces, the hair, the hands, those are all 2D.
Okay.
Yeah,
the hair did look 2D in the trailer to me.
Right. Yeah. So I still wanted to get that 2D quality, that look, and I wanted to keep the traditional like limited animation style, so everything looked like it's hand drawn and cell shaded. So the cell shaded look sometimes feels like, I feel like to audiences it feels like they're being cheated or they've been trying to be tricked with cell shaded looks, specifically in like anime. Some people don't like that. But I think because we always look at the faces, the hands, the hair, I figured doing it all of those in 2D might help with that style.
It makes it easier to rig too. Rigging a face is just as longer than the body.
Yeah, there's no rigs on the face. Since this was my first time doing it too, I'm not a rigger. My like learning how to weight paint, and it's a lot of work, and I still haven't figured it out.
It's so cool. You did the rigging yourself?
I actually used Adobe Mixamo.
Okay.
So I can't sculpt either in 3D. So basically,
Oh,
all my models are kind of Frankenstein together from online resources, and
gotcha.
which is kind of limiting in a way
Yeah, yeah,
because I'll do concept art, and then I kind of have to look online for
yeah.
body parts that kind of fit my concept art. So I'm just like kind of Frankensteining things together,
Wow,
and
that's fascinating though.
yeah, just bashing everything. But
Yeah.
once I have the model, I upload it to Adobe Mixamo, and
Hmm.
then it actually creates a rig for me
Yeah.
and spits it out, and then I use that, which is not the best rig. I have an animation friend who directed 3 features now,
Uh-huh.
and he was over at my place and looking at my rigs, and he's like, "These aren't great rigs.
Yeah.
You should really figure out how to use better rigs." But I mean, it's my first time doing it too, so
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And that's fine. I mean, I did a short film. It was about a 5-minute short film that I don't show to anybody anymore. But I built the whole rig myself. I modeled it. I did all the weight painting and
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's I look back to that rig in my mind, having worked in CG animation at the top, top studio rigs, and
Right.
it was so far behind.
Oh.
I mean, nothing like what they have.
But that's part of the learning process,
Oh yeah,
right? Yeah.
I did build another rig when I was working at a university making promo videos for them, and that rig was better, but still, like the face, there was just
Right.
in the face that I just look at it and I'm like, oh, it's just done properly, and yeah, so
Yeah.
it's all a
Um,
process. But we got it done. Like we've cranked out footage. That's the idea: is get the creative vision out somehow,
yeah,
and
exactly.
quality will come gradually with time. So.
Yeah. And you don't enjoy showing that? You don't look at your history and like, "Oh, I've come this far,"
Oh, I look
or
at it myself.
but you don't show anyone?
No, no, it's hidden now.
Okay.
You wanna see it, maybe I'll send you a private link or something.
Sure.
But
Yeah, I'm never really I don't like the idea of being ashamed of
yeah,
works I've done before.
yeah.
Just because it's, it's not only nice for me, but also nice for other people to see the process and how far you can go
Oh,
when
yeah.
yeah, especially starting out. And
Yeah, my reason for hiding it, so I'm not hiding it from, like, if somebody wants to see it, I'll gladly show it to them.
right.
I'm hiding it for sake of, clarity and making sure that people know when they get Scott Weiser's brand, they get this quality, so
Yeah, that makes sense.
that's part of the reason for it. But I
Yeah,
keep some things up just to show that there has been a big progression in the past couple of years, and
right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm terrible at thinking about social media and like branding and
Oh, me too. It's a beast.
yeah, it's a daunting process. Like when I'm making a film, I kind of just turn everything off for like
Yeah.
a whole year. I might lose some friends in that process because I don't answer messages or texts or emails, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, the
Do
ones
you
who
go
stick
out with
with me,
people at all? Do you get any interaction with people, or are you really pretty
it's
cut off?
usually I'm pretty cut off. It's
Yeah.
usually only after I've finished a project that I'll be more free and go out, socialize.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so during the
You must be an
production,
introvert then.
sorry?
So introverts recharge by being alone, and
Right.
extroverts recharge by being with people. So you must be more of an introvert.
Yeah, I don't, I
I'm
mean,
kind of on the edge. I recharge
uh-huh,
in the social situations, but then once you get to a certain point, it starts depleting my
right.
I need alone time. So I need both, like a mixture of both. So
Okay,
yeah.
I might be very similar because I enjoy social situations.
And introverts do enjoy social situations, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I am an introvert. I have no idea.
Yeah, talking to you, you feel great to talk to. So, it's
Awesome.
really listening to how your energy works. Like, if you're
Right.
able to block yourself off for that long and you don't need that social interaction, it seems like being alone and working on complex problems recharges you.
Right. I mean, it's a little different, like being in your own studio space, talking to you now. But I've been on projects where I've worked for so long, and then having to go out and try and sell or market or at a film festival or something.
Yeah.
And it's a little tough at first, trying to get that
Oh,
energy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you've been used to one mode of working, and suddenly like this is a new exposure.
Exactly.
And I think that's why social media and business and entrepreneurialism is so challenging for artists. And
Yeah.
but to be a freelance artist, you have to be somewhat of an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Like you were
Yeah.
telling me, the way you fund your film is through government grants.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's a fascinating process. I wish we had more of those things around here. That
Right.
I would be
Yeah.
doing more of what you're doing rather than
Well,
freelancing and doing the original content at the same time.
right. But
Yeah.
the thing is, the grants I do apply for, they're not specifically for animation,
Mhm.
so they're more live action grants.
Oh,
Uh, yeah, and so when I do apply, it's pretty much I'm kind of the only animation there that they're getting,
mhm.
because animation just costs so much,
Oh yeah.
anyways. So it's like a ridiculous thought to be going in for like a micro budget feature, live
Mhm.
action, but you're doing it all animation. So
Yeah.
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 So the amount of money I get, that's partly why I do it myself too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I want to be able to pay artists. That's a huge thing for me.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm
Um,
working on my own on so many things.
yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's exactly it.
Mm.
And you just kind of do it yourself out of necessity
Right.
more.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also fun at the same time, but
It is. It is. It is exciting because you're like, wow, I can't believe I stretched myself in that direction and that direction. And
exactly.
um,
Yeah.
but then working with people is very similar. So
Hmm.
having managed, various sizes of people, it's amazing to see an artist that you didn't realize that was inside of them, but you kind
Right.
of have this inkling of it, and you're like, if I just
Yeah.
push them, and then they come out with a surprise, and that's really rewarding as well.
Right. That's
Yeah.
kind of partly what I miss about live action, because I started out in live action,
Hmm.
doing live action film, and the big thing I miss is people,
Yeah.
collaboration.
Yeah.
It's like getting excited about something,
Hmm.
like if you're working with the DOP on the set or something, and the DOP starts talking about lighting, how to like light a certain shot, and then you both get excited about lighting, going back and forth about ideas, and
Yeah.
then implementing those ideas.
Yeah.
Um, that's what I miss about working alone now. It's so isolating, and
Yeah.
there's no real artists or no one I'm working with around to get excited about, like ideas or shots I'm doing, or like, this is awesome. I have no one really to share it with, but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
It was. I don't know if that sounds good or, or tough, or some
it can be tough.
good,
Yeah,
some that sounds
and then
tough.
sometimes like a lot, because yeah, I think this is mostly being an artist, but you're unsure about a lot of things
Hmm.
as well, and you don't know if something's working or not,
Yeah.
and having people around to bounce ideas off of is great in that respect as well.
Oh, it's
So
fantastic.
yeah.
In fact, I find it to be crucial, which is
Yes.
why
Yeah.
I'm trying to get, big funding so that we can do a feature with a team
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, let's talk about process, because I really want to dive into that.
Sure.
So when I was working in the studios, I did have a reputation of being one of the fastest animators. So I prided myself on being fast, but then I see what you did, I'm like,
Right.
okay, how did he do this? Because I mean, the backgrounds are top notch. The animation, if I were directing you as an animator, I would have you do several more passes on a lot of the stuff I
Oh,
see.
definitely.
And some
Yeah.
of the things, I'm like, wow, that shot just nailed it, which is really the process of an animator. Sometimes I can just nail a shot and I don't have to work on it hardly at all. And sometimes
Right.
it's a lot of planning and refining and redoing and that
Hmm.
sort of thing. So I know that you have a certain level of quality that you hit that's good enough as long as you're telling a good story.
Yeah.
And what are your other techniques for really saving time and cranking things out so quickly?
Well, I mean, like you said, there you would have me do, if you were directing me, you would have me do more passes on animated shots.
Yeah.
And I think working on something on your own by yourself, you kind of have to sacrifice a lot.
Yes.
So there's a lot of animation in there that's very minimal. Like I'm like, okay, just 3 frames for head turn, that will work here.
Yeah.
That's good enough to tell the story.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
so I'm just
I detected a
always
lot of that as I watched your Esluna in particular. I detected
right.
like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, he did that on fours, or he did that.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
didn't do the in betweens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's sacrificing a lot in terms of animation, I think. And I'm not classically trained as an animator either.
Yeah.
So I don't pride myself on my animation really, but it's
Yeah.
more focused on the storytelling and actually telling a story visually and
You did
making sure
oh sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say making sure I hit a certain quality or
Yeah.
look that I'm going
Yeah.
for.
Yeah. Like the
Yeah.
backgrounds and the textures and that sort of thing, those are really
Hmm.
high quality. And I can tell
Right.
that that's where you put your pride is in that
Yeah.
and the story, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. So the backgrounds, it's funny working on shorts from like maybe 6 years ago. I've actually been accumulating a ton of stock. So all my
Hmm.
paintings use sort of a very similar style, my
Yes, they
background
do.
paintings.
Yeah.
So I've kind of created like the stock library of trees, rocks, grass, anything I need. So
Oh,
now making the
yeah,
feature, I
yeah,
kind of just put things together that
yeah.
in terms of whatever layout I needed.
Yeah, I've been doing that with
And
client work, especially this
right,
I have a client that they often send me the same style of video that they keep
right.
wanting me to work these things out, and so
Yeah.
but I keep getting faster and faster at it. It's like,
Uh-huh.
that used to
Yeah,
take
it's
2 weeks, but now I can do it a little bit faster, and
right.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
'cause I
It's
have
like
that library.
exactly creating your own little shorthand of doing things.
Yeah,
It's not always the case. Like, I
mhm.
mean, there are some backgrounds in there that are, say, like buildings and things like that, where I have to paint things from scratch.
Oh, I know, and I can tell when I look at it. It's like, "Ooh."
Right.
I
Yeah.
just do work. Like, "Oh, that takes so much work, that takes so much work. How is he doing that?"
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's an interesting process just getting things having that library of stock and then also doing more fresh paintings because I'm also creating new stock for future projects as well
You
every
are.
single time. Yeah. Yeah.
And then, and it would be kinda hard for me to do that personally because I always wanna change style. I wanna always be experimenting with style.
Yeah, right.
That's one of the things, getting in my way of speed. But at
Uh-huh.
the same time, we had a discussion beforehand. There is also something to be said for always pushing quality and always exploring that way as well.
Definitely.
But I think you
Yeah.
are doing a little bit of that, I can tell. Do you
Y-
do you do an animatic?
yes, I do.
You edit all
Um
the storyboards together in a
Yeah, so for this current feature that I just did, I spent 2 months on storyboarding and then another month. I do all my storyboarding by hand as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, it's because I'm spending so much time behind a screen on the computer
yeah,
that I want to be able to sit behind a desk and actually do
yeah,
things more traditionally. And so I do all my boards by hand and then I scan all my boards as well. And that's a whole
oh,
process, scanning each
you'd almost wanna
frame.
hire an intern for that or something. Like, I need
Right.
these backgrounds, hire the intern and we'll
Yeah, right. But yeah, I created the whole animatic from the storyboards as well. And then I go from there. The animatic is a great jumping off point for animation, having that baseline there.
yeah,
Or
it's
else,
perfect.
yeah, exactly. Or else you kind of feel lost, like
Yeah,
you're just like starting shot and then there's no real direction to the sequence that you're doing or
right.
yeah, even if I'm redrafting sequences, I'll do little thumbnails. I want to like fully board it because I'm like in the thick of it with
Yeah,
production.
yeah, yeah.
So I'll do like a whole draft of thumbnails and then
Now
I'll
redrafting, you're like, "This shot doesn't work the way it's flowing, so I gotta
or the
re."
sequence doesn't work or I'm changing story points as
Okay.
well. So I'm never really stuck to the story I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm always open to like flow and
Yeah.
new ideas.
Yeah, me too, for sure.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
way to work.
exactly. Yeah,
The way to work, and it's much less expensive to do it on your own than it is to do it with a team, right?
yeah, right, exactly.
So, I would like to see your boards, by the way. Just
Yeah,
get, like, my head around how you work that way, 'cause I just as I mentioned before, I have a animated fantasy musical that I'm pitching.
right.
I boarded the first 5 minutes, and between writing the music, directing the co-composer, and
Uh-huh.
doing all the boards myself, that took a month. And so you
Right.
spend 2 months on a 2-hour feature. It's just like, this guy's working 20 times, 40 times faster than me.
Right. But I mean, my work schedule is I usually start working around 10 or 11 in the morning, and
Yeah.
then I'll go till like 3 or 4 a.m. at night.
How do
Yeah.
you do that?
So that's my work schedule, and it's like I don't leave the house, right? It's like usually 7 days a week. I'm just behind my computer or behind my desk, just drawing or
You don't look out
working.
of shape, though.
Thanks. That's a good thing. I kind of usually closer to the end of productions, I start to feel a little unhealthy.
Okay. Yeah, I imagine you would.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. Actually, I went for a little walk yesterday, and I started to get cramps in my legs.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. So even though I don't look it, I might feel out of shape inside, or be out of shape inside.
Yeah. Well, and my new thing has been balance lately. So I've been doing a lot more exercise than usual, seeing how that impacts my work energy, and it has impacted it. It's impacted quality, at least. I don't know about
yeah.
food, but and then of course, I just realized that I have 4 children and a wife.
Right. Yeah.
That takes a lot of energy and effort, and
yeah.
and then I'm always on this constant search for deep truth. So that takes a lot of time too.
Right.
Kind of think about things in ways that I haven't thought of, and have interesting conversations and that sort of thing too. So
yeah. So like my work schedule, I wouldn't recommend anyone doing it.
I would.
Yeah.
You would.
So I'm starting
RSI for a bit too, like in your hand, or your hand was hurting for a while. You needed to
the web series, because I was drawing every frame.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't done in 3D like this one. So drawing every frame, I started to get like pain in my hand, in my wrist. And when moving to this feature, I really started to think about how I can minimize the amount of drawing I can do, which is why I moved to 3D.
Yeah.
That's the sole reason for it.
Yeah.
But
did it speed you up, the 3D?
It did. It improved the quality, and it sped things up, and I get to have more frames as well, because I'm not drawing every frame. So
exactly.
And yeah, the overall quality is something that I'm really happy with. So
the trailer just it does look like a big step up from Esluna. So
yeah, the web series it was 8 months to do, and it wasn't a lot of time, and I had to just push myself. I pushed myself a little too hard with that one, and resulted in my wrist. But
which is it's not a common problem just among people who work alone and long hours. It's common among artists who work at all levels in studios and stuff. It's a constant state of conversation that we were always having. I had a guy, he would get tennis bands. And he wore tennis bands as he worked. And
how does that help?
Well, it helps tennis players. So it just it restricts the movement of the wrist a little bit more.
Oh, okay.
You're not moving it quite as much to get a stress injury, right?
Okay.
And I was starting to feel a little bit of stuff in my wrist, and it could have been psychological,
Right.
I still got the bands, and I felt it helped. So.
Oh, cool. I should try that.
Yeah. Good. We need to take care of you, Denver. It's funny, before we were talking, before we launched the live cast, we were talking about Ponyo and how one man did all the backgrounds in Ponyo, and he said, one guy? He was amazed. And I was like, well, he's no Denver Jackson, but
yeah, it's cool to hear those stories.
It is cool. I mean, the quality of the backgrounds in Ponyo is just remarkable.
Yeah. I love the very the crayon style quality in Ponyo.
And he really did pull out crayons and used crayons in the background.
Right. Yeah, it's incredible.
It's very childlike, and it's kind of funny. My father doesn't really appreciate Miyazaki like I appreciate Miyazaki. And when he saw Ponyo, he said, "When you direct a feature, I hope it's a bit more sophisticated." And I was like, "Dad, you have no You have no idea how amazing that film was. You just get it, I guess. Because the childlike quality of that film, with Totoro, I watched Totoro as an adult alone, and I was like, I liked it,
Right.
I enjoyed that. But then I watched it with children, and that's a whole new experience. It's like,
oh man,
wow, this thing is pure magic.
Yeah, I bet. Like seeing it through a child's eyes as well. Sounds incredible.
Yeah. It is incredible. It makes you want to make that kind of stuff,
Right.
So much children's entertainment. I just kind of, just
Yeah.
even if the animation's interesting, like in Pocoyo has a beautiful animation style that isn't very simplistic. So I get a benefit out of that. But Totoro is just one of those, Miyazaki films are those. He really he's making a film for kids, but he's making it amazing for kids. Like he can make it.
Exactly. And Ponyo, even I used to work in a old folks home as a nurse.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I did this. Yeah. And so the seniors in Ponyo, it's really he captures the whole atmosphere really well as well. His directing style is just mind blowing.
Oh yeah. Well, as I was doing this this current project that I just finished, as my warm-ups, I would draw Miyazaki boards.
Oh, awesome.
And holy cow, they look amazing as I'm looking at them, but you draw them and you're thinking, how did he get that much information in such a squiggly line? How did he do this? And it actually paralyzed me a little bit.
Oh no.
As I was working, because I had such a high benchmark of quality in my mind.
Right.
So there was a certain period of time that I was coming home miserable every day. And my wife was like, remember, this is a gift, this month the business had to raise a lot of money to pay for this. And, that. So think of it as a gift. And I'm like, I know it's so hard. Well, I finally hit my stride, and then the quality showed up. And that was an amazing, amazing experience to be like, holy cow, that feels like it's a Miyazaki board.
Awesome.
I can't believe I just did that, And so it was worth going through the pain,
Yeah. Trying to find that Miyazaki shorthand that he has.
I'm not there quite yet, but it's happening. It's happening slowly.
Yeah. Right. That's great. Yeah.
I'm sure I have to look at the time. Okay. We have 15 more minutes, so.
Okay. Yeah. Did you
play music? I see a piano in the background. Are you?
Oh no, that was actually my friend Mark Junker. He's one of my music composers on my films.
Okay.
And back right out of high school, he used to come over and make music for my films here in my space. And so I just he just left that there because he got better equipment.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I don't play at all though.
It does look like a full size one though.
No.
It's not full size?
I think it's pretty. I don't even know what full size is.
It looks like it to me, but I actually grew up playing the piano.
Oh, really?
This piece that I just did, I co-wrote the music, so I wrote the song and the lyrics and all that, and then
that's incredible.
And the piano accompaniment, and then he went and did all the instrumentation, and there were sections that I want this to happen, and I kind of sang it for him, and then he filled in. He was brilliant.
Okay.
Brilliant. By his demo, I was wondering, and we had lots of conversations about music composing and in depth, because I have composed music and I understand the process, and I really want to find the right collaborator who can help me write this full feature musical, right? And but he just jumped in and he went, all steam ahead. And awesome. he came out with some wonderful stuff that surprised me, and there were certain points that were exactly what I wanted, but there were also points that were like, wow, I did not expect something that good. It's better than what I had in my head. So
that's always what you expect, is those surprises from artists.
Yeah. I'm excited to do a full feature with him.
Right.
This thing funded and yeah.
I'm always a little jealous if you're an artist, but you can also play music. That's
really...
Yeah.
I can sing too. So there's an old lady in the anime.
Right.
I sang her part because it's just
Okay.
she's supposed to be a bad singer. So I was like, I'm gonna just do this.
Right.
It sounds really.
Yeah.
And then there's an operatic moment from a male, and
Uh-huh.
I sang that as well. And
Wow.
it was fun to. I'm like,
Right.
oh, this will be great. Like if we get a whole team of people, and I'm like doing this voice here and that voice there, and
Yeah.
some of it will actually end up in the final. Who knows?
Yeah. Right. Because it's like Brad Bird doing Edna, right? In the
Yeah,
Incredibles.
exactly.
Yeah.
I actually was thinking specifically of Brad Bird as I was thinking
Right. Yeah.
how fun it was to do that voice.
Awesome. Yeah. How far along in the process? So you have an animatic.
I have an animatic, and the music
Right.
just sounds top notch.
Oh man. Incredible.
Not, but good.
Right.
But yeah, it's so the animatic's done. I'm going to record a director invitation where I'm just inviting, like, I'll be sharing it with people who I know could help me get it funded, or
Right.
help me with the producing or build the team or whatnot. So,
Mhm.
and then I will send it out to them, and we'll work on finding the funding. And
Awesome.
yeah,
Nice.
one of the guys was he was one of the producers was a guest on this show.
Mhm.
He co-founded Walden Media. They did the Chronicles of Narnia movies and Bridget
Okay.
Terabithia, Charlotte's Web.
Right.
The list just goes on and on. He's done a lot of work.
Wow.
So he's
Uh-huh.
one of the potential people. He's amazing. And
Oh, cool.
they're yeah, and it was Layers of all thing that got his attention.
Nice.
Like I thought Layers was done, right? In my brain.
Right.
I was
Yeah.
like, I did it. I learned a lot from it. It's done. It's done all that it can do. But Layers just really ignited his mind, and he
Right.
really loved it. So you never know what work is going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. The process, like, it's like seeing, you've worked on this thing for so long, and it's like seeing your kid go off to university, like out into the world. You put your film out there, and then
you see the scar on the back of his leg and the little moles on his neck, and
yeah.
and you think about how he's not very good at finances, and he's maybe a little spacey and might get distracted, and somebody might mug him. You got all these thoughts, and you see the quality too, hopefully. And
right. Yeah. My short film Cloud Rise, when I put it online, it got the Vimeo staff pick, and then I started getting a lot of emails and phone calls from people asking if I had feature film ideas for animation.
Yeah.
And I think I was just really young at the time, but I should have said yes. I do. But I was just like telling everyone, oh, I'm trying to focus on live action right now. I'm not doing anything animated.
I might butcher the story, but the guy, I think his name is Michael Esluna. He's the guy who bought Batman from DC.
Right.
And then pitched it for 13 years or more until finally they got the Tim Burton version of Batman up. But they said, this is a waste of your money. Don't buy this,
Right.
He really believed in it.
Yeah.
And how did he? Oh, I might be mixing a couple people up, but I remember that like it might have been him how he got his job. Like it might be somebody else, but it was a really cool story about how they got a comic like printed pretty much by just he came up with it that night. Like he's like, oh yeah, I have a perfect idea for it, and he had no idea.
Wow.
But he knew he could have a perfect idea, so he went and sat down and came up with an idea and said, "This is my idea," and they ran with it.
Yeah.
Avatar: The Last Airbender has a very similar story too, where it was like within 2 weeks of them coming up with the idea, they had it greenlit.
Wow.
And that's one of the best series ever. I'm not even in animation. It's one of the best series ever.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And it's
Didn't they do so? They had it greenlit, and then they did, I guess, that a pilot episode. Is that how it works?
Yeah, possibly. I don't know that part of the process, but I know they had it greenlit.
Okay.
I probably did that pilot, and then they got the money for the rest of it. So
right. Okay. Yeah. That's so cool. Yeah, I love The Last Airbender and Korra as well. Those are two really good shows.
Yeah, Avatar in particular, it really blew up on Netflix. It was interesting. Like it was there, and then I saw fan art of Avatar everywhere.
Right. Yeah. As soon as it went on
Netflix. Wow, it's amazing that this project has. I don't think they anticipated that kind of life.
Yeah.
That project, right? They probably thought it was done, and Yeah, but Netflix
Yeah.
comes along and suddenly there's a new fan base there.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's been on Netflix Canada for a while.
Yeah. Oh,
So
okay.
I think we had it before you guys did. We also
We
have
have
all
all
the
the Miyazaki. Yeah.
Ghibli.
I'm like, how do I get there? Maybe I should need to just go to Vancouver to. No, that doesn't work. My library has all of them, and I have most of them myself. So might as well
Yeah,
watch them myself.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. I have same with me. I have all the Ghibli films and Last Airbender and Korra in my
Yeah.
library. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I still have to get the Last Airbender and that, but
Right.
it will be
Yeah.
in the library. It's too good. It's just
Yeah.
amazing.
I remember going to San Diego Comic Con and they had that the finale episodes screening. So I think it was the last 3 episodes.
Yeah.
And I remember being in that big room, everyone seated in there. It was packed. We had to line up. We didn't even know if we'd get in.
Yeah.
And just sitting in that audience, who are all fans of the show, just feeling the emotions
Yeah.
behind those last few episodes, it was incredible. Like because
Yeah.
you usually just watch it at home on the TV, but actually being in the theatrical kind of experience.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, the series we watched before The Last Airbender was interesting because I actually knew how the series ended.
Oh, okay.
I'm not into the spoiler culture.
Right.
I actually like to know spoilers because I want to know what the point is, right? And
Yeah.
they've actually done studies that they found that when you know how the movie's going to end, you actually will enjoy it more.
Right.
Because you understand there's a meaning behind what you're watching.
Yeah.
So this series, I knew the ending, and actually up until the end, like the last 3-4 episodes, I thought it was the right ending. But then the way they were treating it, I was like, that's the wrong ending. And then we saw the ending and it was the absolute wrong ending. So I went and actually looked at what the top episodes were. And they have websites where they rank what everybody's favorite episode are. And it was just all over the place, right? This was the top. It was like something from the first season. And
right.
With The Last Airbender, the top episode on that same website was the last episode.
Wow.
And okay, they did it right.
Yeah.
This was the episode that had the impact.
Right.
This is the episode that had the climax.
Uh-huh.
All the meaning came together.
So because you kind of knew the ending, you didn't feel like it fit or it didn't click for
with that
you?
other fitting? Or with the other, with Avatar it was perfect.
Okay.
With this other series that I won't say what it is, but series.
Right.
Fantastic series. The acting so good and the writing was so good. And I was just there was one point where there's an actress that her character changes a lot and then her acting got worse.
Right.
Yeah. Than that, she was a character you weren't supposed to like anyway, so it was fine.
Right.
But I mean, just on the part of the main actor, I mean, I almost came to tears by some of his performances, how good they were.
Okay.
And how right on he was, and the dynamics of the characters, they were just so fantastic. But
yeah, isn't there like a thing in story where like the ending, the beginning and the ending are the hardest things to write?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, there's also a second act problems.
Yeah, right. Second act problems.
Half of the second act is where I have struggled more on earlier stories that I've written. And now I actually just really plan for that part.
Right. Yeah.
Really do that part well, and it goes smoothly now.
Right.
So I just plan on the outlining stage. But the beginning and the ending is like you're setting all the rules up at the beginning. You're setting up all the expectations, and then you fulfill those expectations or do something with those expectations in the climax.
Right.
And so that's why I knew it was the wrong ending for that particular series.
Right. I see.
And I think I know why they did it. They did it to be cutting edge. They did it to be artsy, They did it to say we are true artists here and we dare to do this with the ending. But it's like, you may dare to do it at the ending, but it was the wrong ending.
Right. Yeah.
Half of your audience is like, why did it end that way?
Yeah. Right.
And when more than half of your audience is saying that, it was the wrong ending.
Yeah.
It was. You could have done something better there.
Yeah. It's funny, when I did this feature, when I wrote it, I actually had the ending in mind first. So
that's a perfect place to start, actually.
Yeah. And
I have the ending in mind before I start.
Right. Yeah, and I wrote the first draft of the script, and my producer, who teaches writing at the university here in
Mhm.
the city, he keeps pushing me for story stuff. So
Good,
he
good.
kept pushing me to write more drafts of the script, and I wrote up to 9 drafts. And by the ninth
Great.
draft, I read the script, and I was like, I don't actually want to make this movie anymore.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
so the movie had changed so much. And so I went back to the first draft and read the first draft. I'm like, I want to make this movie.
I love that.
So
Yeah.
it's I think it's a good lesson too, because sometimes you kind of, when you work on something for so long, you kind of lose why you're doing it.
Yeah, I actually want to read this to you. This is a conversation I had with he's one of my favorite people in storytelling. Oh, actually, he sent me voice notes, so I can't read it
Oh,
to you. But I'll
okay.
summarize what he said.
Uh-huh.
I just sent a new book / feature pitch,
Right.
a separate project from this one that I just talked about.
Wow.
But,
So many projects.
yeah, that's my strategy: is as many projects as possible. Push them forward. Something
That's
like
awesome.
focus on one.
Yeah.
But
go on.
yeah, so I shared that with the agent, and the agent had all this feedback that it just felt like the wrong feedback, right?
Right.
And this agent was actually passing me to another agent, so it wasn't really a big deal. But I ran it past him, and he's just like, "Don't. He talked about how you listen for the symptom and not what the patient's describing.
Right.
So the patient will come and say, "I'm having all this stuff happening. I think it is heart disease," right? Well, if you're a good doctor, you're going to listen to all the other things that they're saying besides the solution, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to ask them like, "Well, what's the reason for you thinking it's heart disease?" "Well, I have," you listen more to the patient, and then you can start to discover what the problems are and solve it yourself as the expert.
Right.
And he's not meaning it in an arrogant way. He's meaning it in like, you really have to trust that you are the person that knows the story the best, and that you are listening to the story. You are the servant of the story, not the master. And you're the one who knows how you can go in and fix that patient, fix that problem.
Right.
And so that was his advice, and it was fantastic advice. And he just kept
It is
going
good advice.
and rehashing it and saying, like, I would tell him some things that they said, and he's like, don't listen to that.
Right. Yeah.
You really you're the expert here. You need to.
Yeah. If you're the creator, it has to really work in your head, because you're the one telling the story. So if you're trying to like push in all these notes from other people, you kind of lose what you're trying to say as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so it's good advice.
The good advice he also said about that, he's like, this is a little bit crass, but some people want it to smell like them, like they're marking their territory, right? And so he was like, sometimes people suggest make a suggestion because it's their style. They want it to kind of have their mark on it.
Yeah.
And beware of that, because a good storyteller knows that they're the servant of the story, right?
Yeah.
That story is its own thing. It's its own living entity. Someday it's going to go out among the people, and who cares who wrote it? They're going to take it, and they're going to find meaning in it based on their experience. And so beware of that too.
Yeah. Usually when I give notes to friends, I always say that these are things that I think would work in my head and what I would do, but it's not necessarily what you should do.
Yeah.
And then,
I try to be mindful of that too. I try to think of like, how would they think of it?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
Take what they are and what the story they are making, and push that.
Right.
And that's hard to do. That's really hard to do.
Is. Yeah. Yeah. But also it's like part of being, an artist too, because when you do work freelance, you're always trying to get into whoever's pitching you an idea or the work. You're trying to get into their head.
Oh, you absolutely are.
Because you have to, bring a vision to life.
And then you're trying to say, I mean, this is what I do as a freelancer. I'm in their head. Now, how can I get them something better than the way they were expecting? But it's still in that same realm.
Exactly.
Those boundaries that they appreciate. Yeah. That's a fun, exciting challenge to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're almost to the end here. I'm going to ask the get wiser moment, and pun intended. If my goal is to get the greatest amount of truth into a feature film, what process would you recommend? What approach would you recommend?
The greatest amount of truth.
Truth, yes.
What process would I recommend?
Yeah.
I get truth from life.
Yeah.
So any times the main stories that I'm telling is always the source is from something out of my own life. So I'd say take something from life.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Yeah, everybody answers it differently. It's very surprising.
Right.
But, it's a good question when everybody answers it differently. So I have to ask every time, and it's very important to me, very important to my brand to have a deep sense of truth. And I would even add to that multiple perspectives from life.
Right.
So I might think I might lean a certain way politically and talk to certain people about that. And then I want to go and find the polar opposite, learn from that. And so why do they have that perspective?
Right.
Why would they think like that? And I think most of the world right now, especially right now, we tend to demonize those people who think completely different, right?
Right.
Go and say, oh yeah, that group of people, they're evil because of this and this and that. I think that's where a storyteller can't go.
Exactly. I think storytellers have to kind of be empathetic.
Very empathetic, yes.
Yeah. You have to write from all perspectives.
Yes.
So it's good.
Realize that there's a reason that all those people have those perspectives, for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, it's been an awesome time.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
Where should they get people follow you if they're interested in following your work? I think you have a Cloudrise Pictures Instagram.
Yeah, so there's Cloudrise Pictures on Instagram. I'm on Twitter as well. I believe at Cloudrise Ltd. And then there's a website, cloudrisepictures.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'll put all of that down in the notes for people. And and I forget there's an audio version. If you want to follow me, you just go to scottweiser.com/follow. You can sign up for my email list there, and I'm Scott K. Weiser on Instagram. So until next time, enjoy. You have been watching the Directing Animation Livecast with Scott Weiser. Audio version edited by Kiera Horowitz. Copyright Scott Weiser LLC 2020.